There's so many benefits to living in Florida, and one of them is that we have so many different travel destinations that we can easily drive to, that people go to from all over the world, right? So just think Orlando, Tampa, Siesta Key, Miami, and Key West, and there's really so many other places. And that's what this video is about. I'm actually going on a trip today. I'm going to go to Fort Myers, and we're going to be taking the fast boat over to Key West, and we're going to be spending one day there and then back home. If you're new to my channel, my name is Katrin Fitzmatt. I'm a real estate agent in Sarasota, Venice, Bradenton, and Lakewood Ranch. Join me on this trip. Let's see what Key West is all about. For those of you that have seen some of my videos, you know that I usually don't do vlogging styles of videos, but this is definitely going to be much more of a vlogging style. I want to provide you with the impression of actually being there, so vlogging is the way to go today. The Key West Express goes from Fort Myers Beach at 8 a.m. daily and arrives at about 11:30 a.m. in Key West. And then it departs Key West at 6 p.m.
Made it on the boat.
The boat ride we're doing today is round trip, and we're actually doing everything in one day, but you do not need to come back the same day. You could get a hotel room and stay there for a few days as well. There are a lot of places to sit on this boat, contingent upon you obviously finding a seat in time. On the ground level, the lounge chairs are very comfortable, and there's quite a few TVs here to make the time go by faster. You can order food or drinks. The boat has a bar. The Key West Express can hold about 500 people, and definitely it was crowded when we went. We went on a Friday. You can walk up a flight of stairs and be on the second floor for maybe better views. You can also sit outside. If you go all the way up, you will have probably one of the nicest water views on this trip. During this trip, we sat inside and outside. We started off sitting outside just to catch some views in the beginning of the ride, and then towards 1/3 of the ride, we ventured inside of the boat because of the wind.
As you make your way around the boat today, you notice heading out to the outer decks, especially in and out of any of the bathrooms on board. There's going to be a raised threshold that you must step over. Folks, we cannot stress it enough. Please watch your step in these areas. Please try to remember to pick your feet up and step over those thresholds, especially when you enter or exit any of the bathrooms. We have 5 bathrooms on that main deck. They're all the way at the very back of the boat on either side of the galley. And we also have 2 bathrooms at the top of the stairs on the second deck. Right now, the bar and galley are both open for you. Matt is your bartender today, so feel free to go visit him if you want to get your party started. He's got a pretty good selection of beer, wine, and liquor up there. And we also have 2 gentlemen back in the galley to service some food for you. So if you're hungry, they got some breakfast available right now, like breakfast sandwiches, bagels. All your juices and coffee are back there, as well as some sodas and beer and wine as well. But other than that, sit back, relax, enjoy the ride. If there's anything at all we can do to make your ride more enjoyable, do not hesitate to ask. Again, welcome aboard, folks. We hope you enjoyed the trip, and thank you for traveling Key West Express.
Getting out of Fort Myers Beach, there were some really great views, but also some unfortunate views because it was just a reminder of Hurricane Ian and the fact that it really did wipe out Fort Myers Beach, and it's really sad. Now, rebuilding has started months ago, and Fort Myers Beach will rebuild. It's going to be really interesting to see what it turns out to be. That's the tail end of Fort Myers Beach here. As the boat started picking up speed, it created these waves, and dolphins were taking advantage of the waves, and they were just playing around. They were surfing in the waves, and that was one of the highlights of my trip. They were actually doing it for quite a while. Unfortunately, I didn't have my camera ready, so I wasn't able to capture the entire time that they were playing around. As I mentioned earlier, we started sitting outside first, I would say for the first hour, just pulling out of Fort Myers Beach, taking the scenery in, and then also looking into the big blue. It's such a relaxing experience, but you need to know it does get noisy outside, especially if it's windy. And as you're leaning kind of over the rail, it does get even noisier because of how the wind is hitting you. But I did it in order to get some shots in. And I do think it's worth being outside for a little while. I think once you're in the middle of the Gulf, it's nice to go inside and kind of get that as an experience in as well. Key West originally was named Cayo Hueso by the Spanish settlers, which translates into Bone Island. Ernest Hemingway enjoyed Key West and actually lived there in the 1930s, during which he wrote some of his best novels and short stories.
And if you're up on that second deck, folks, just hang tight. Even if you have luggage downstairs, just wait for a few minutes here. Once we get tied up, we'll open those stairwells up. We don't want anybody standing in them while we're underway. So until we get tied up to the dock, just hang tight. Just until we get there, and then we'll open them up for you so you can get down there and get your luggage as well. And speaking of luggage, for anybody staying down here for a few days, and you don't feel like dragging your bag around town waiting to check into your hotel, there is a porter service located at our terminal called Paradise Porters.
The first impression of Key West you're going to have is probably you're going to be in awe of the color of the water. It's this emerald blue, crystal blue green water. And for somebody like me that's coming from Sarasota right now where we have red tide, it really is nice to see water that is this clear. But I will say that Siesta Key, when there's no red tide, has a very similar color. There was a party boat that came by. We saw a few hotels where they had pool parties. And so you're going to notice right away that Key West is definitely about being carefree, as you've seen in lots of documentaries and people just talking about Key West, party. Not everybody's going to be partying at Key West, but it certainly does have kind of that carefree vibe. We arrived at around 11:30 a.m. and what you want to do is be one of the very first ones to be by the exit doors, because if you're still in the back of the boat, it could take you another 15-20 minutes until you're able to get out of the boat. So just keep that in mind. As soon as you walk out of the Key West Express terminal, you're already greeted by so much life. People are in golf carts, they're riding their bicycles, they're in mopeds, they're walking all around. There are chickens and hens running around the streets. It's really bizarre and very lively. I suggest if you make this a day trip, that you actually get a moped or maybe rent a trolley just to take you around town to different parts of town. We walked for pretty much 4 to 5 hours, and we felt that we didn't really get to too many places as we had planned, though it was a really nice stroll. And we pretty much stayed around central Key West and kind of the northern part. But my recommendation is the next time, if we were to do this again, is to absolutely get a golf cart or something that rides a few people very easily and drive to all these different points of interest. What's nice about leisurely just walking around, though, is there's so much to actually walk into in Key West. There's a lot of live music happening in all sorts of different places. And a lot of little shops along the way. So if you wanted to get a Key West t-shirt, for example, there's lots of places that you're probably going to find along the way if you're just walking around. There's lots of people on the island, as you can tell. Just everywhere you're walking, there are people around, which is great. It makes it just so much more fun. But if you're somebody that wants to be in a quieter setting, maybe you just want to have a relaxing time, then think about coming here outside of spring break, maybe even the summers, but you would have to worry about not coming right into hurricane season, because obviously it wouldn't be fun getting stuck in Key West if there's a hurricane coming up that path. Key West economy is really sustained by tourism, and so naturally you're going to be finding a lot of these boutique stores kind of all over the place. It's fun to just walk around them. If you're wondering if Key West is also for children, I think absolutely. There's a lot to do with kids here. You got the Shipwreck Museum, the aquarium. There's an art and history museum, and that's besides, all the water sports that you can take part in. We walked around the northern part of Key West quite a bit, and so we walked into the port of Key West. It was just stunning to see this huge cruise ship right in front of me. You don't really realize how big these ships are until you have a view like this one. That's the Celebrity Cruise Line. And when ships like this dock, they typically just stay a few hours. With special permission, I was able to fly my drone up to 50 feet in Mallory Square. Mallory Square is a historic site in Key West. It's where you want to come, especially for sunsets. But it's also the site where there's a lot of activities and events throughout the day. So definitely check out Mallory Square when you're here. Key West, land of the carefree. Check out the color of this water. It's turquoise. It's beautiful. No red tide here. Really close by are the shops at Mallory Square, and apparently it's the best shopping experience in Key West. It's inside an air-conditioned building, and there you'll find souvenirs, gifts, and treasures from Key West. We're in Duval Street now, and it's actually known as the party epicenter of Key West. The street runs all the way from the north to the south side of Key West. It's about 1.25 miles long, and this is where you'll find all the bars, the pubs, cafes, galleries, all along the stretch here. Just walking down the street, there's lots to do, even on the side streets. I happen to hear music, and that's where I'm heading to right now.
Playing astronauts and rock stars. No one told us to stop it. Call it something realistic.
Not sure who this singer was, but she was good. So soon after we left, and we walked down the street even further, we headed over to Sloppy Joe's bar. And guess what? There's more live music in here as well. Here's a fun fact for you. Apparently, when Ernest Hemingway lived in Key West, he spent a lot of time with friends in Sloppy Joe's bar. So now the group wanted to get a good cocktail, and most of us actually don't really drink that much, but when we do, it's got to be a really good cocktail, handcrafted preferably. And so we ended up going to this place that had really good reviews called General Horseplay. And I have to tell you, the drinks were really, really well done.
We make people happy. That's what I do now.
Okay.
We make people happy. Do you want to be happy?
Mezcal, so it's going to have some lemon juice, a little sugar, and then a creme de mure, which is a blackberry cordial. It comes out as a two-part presentation, but as you mix it in, it gets a little bit more jammy. You got really well balanced to it. You should.
Siesta Key is the best. When I used to live there, I lived there a little over a year. It was busy when I was there. It was crazy. We'd work and work and work. The thing about it is you have one of the best beaches.
Chickens and roosters all over the place. You can see them running around the streets. I'm not sure why they're free, but rumor has it that back in the days, people would keep them for dinner, but then they stopped doing laborious dinners, and so a lot of these chickens and roosters became free, and now they're roaming the streets of Key West. On the return trip, we did the same as we did coming to Key West, and that is we sat outside for the first hour to take in the views. We were lucky to be able to see a gorgeous, gorgeous sunset. And as soon as we saw the sunset, which was absolutely stunning, at that point we ventured inside, and actually a few of us went to sleep because we did have a really long day. This is an exhausting trip, but one that's well worth it, especially if you don't have a lot of days to take off. This is a great way just to get away for one day. Do me a favor, if you enjoyed this video, like this video. It does help out the video's performance, the channel's performance. If you're somebody that's looking to purchase or sell a property in Florida and you don't have a real estate agent, call me and I can absolutely refer you to somebody in your area, unless it's outside of the area I work in, which is Sarasota, Bradenton, Lakewood Ranch, and Venice. If you're looking to purchase or sell in those areas, I'd be more than happy to help you personally. Thank you so much for tuning in today, hanging out with me until the very end. I always appreciate when you guys do. Take care.